Before we jump into today's show, I just wanted to let you know that I have got a brand new 3-part audio series available to download right now. If you head over to donnaeade.com/3-part audio, that's all one word, no spaces, you can download your How to Build Your Authority with Podcasting audio series. This is going to address guesting and hosting. So if you're interested in either of those and you want to know how to build your authority, head over to donnaeade.com/3-part audio. The link will be in the show notes. You're listening to the Mindset and Action Podcast, the place to be to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade. Let's jump into the show. Well, hello there, my dear listener. Welcome back to the podcast for another Monday Mindset Mini. This one's going to be a little bit different. I am sitting here with a cup of tea, which is not unusual at all actually, but I wanted this to feel more like we were having a sit down chat with a cuppa, because I have been having a really low week. So at the time of recording this, which is Thursday before it's coming out, I've had a really tough week, and getting the energy up to do the podcast is proving difficult. And just in general, it's been a really tough week for me. So I wanted to share the real raw and ugly of business when you're working for yourself and what that actually looks like when these things happen. So if you are new to business, this might be something that you need to be aware of. If you are not new to business, then I want you to know that when you have these moments, you're not alone, and that we all go through them. It's quite difficult to kind of start the conversation, but I'm going to try and keep to my 10-minute limit on my mini mindsets. So let's jump in. So I'm holding my tea, but I'm not going to be drinking it throughout because it's a little bit too hot right now. And Twinkle's behind me, settling down, making old granny noises as she does it. She's so funny. So where has this dip come from? Really, honestly, I couldn't tell you where, the whys, or anything like that. I've tried to look at my cycle as a woman. Any women out there, you know that we work on roughly a 28-day cycle. Mine's 25. And there is a period of time during that cycle that is kind of called our winter. And it's where we are getting ready, sort of hunkering down, nesting, feeling quite introverted, quite sort of low on energy, and just trying to conserve it all. And that usually happens for sort of the period of about 10 days before we start our bleed. So I'm not in that phase. So this is why this has kind of like knocked me for six, because I'm like, well, it's not that. And I've kind of looked at all sorts of different things that it could be. And my overall feeling is that there has been a lot of peopling this week, and I'm meeting with my coaching group tomorrow, which I always love doing, but it is an energy drain for me just because there's quite a lot of energy in the room. There's kind of 8 to 9 of us in the room at any one time, and it is quite heavy on the energy. So I do find it quite draining. And then I'm looking after my sister's cat this weekend, which means that I've kind of got to leave my house. My sister lives about 4 or 5 miles away. So her cats have medical needs, need injections and things. So I have to be over there at certain times, which isn't part of my normal routine. And I have a photo shoot on Monday, guys, which I haven't done I can't remember the last time I did a photo shoot where I was the subject. Spent 10 years doing it as the person behind the camera, but I'm very nervous and anxious about that in a number of different ways. And I feel like it's a lot of people stuff. There's going to be 3 other people having their session at the same time as me on Monday. So that's going to be new people to connect with. And I'm excited about that. But just this week, it has been a struggle to even get out of bed. I've been very tired. And I'm looking around, and you've got to, when you're in these places, you have to try and see if you can find a reason for it. And oftentimes we sort of talk about things being, we need to blame somebody for something. So that, when something awful happens, an accident happens, we're always looking for somebody to blame. And it's kind of that in this situation where, I have a very low mood, and it wasn't just a day blip. It's been a full week now. So what is going on? And it could be a number of things. And that's why it's kind of process of elimination, kind of examining everything, because you don't want to stay in that place, and you need to know if it's something that is deeper than surface level. And it's February. We have had a lot of rain recently. The sun has been hiding. The nights are still quite dark, especially when it's been raining. So I'm thinking that, coupled with all the peopling, coupled with some very exciting things in my business, and this is what's kind of really thrown me through a loop, is there's lots of exciting things happening, lots of exciting opportunities, clients coming my way, which is fantastic. Yet I feel so low, and I don't feel excited in the way that I would want to. So I think it's really important that we just take a moment to review the whys, have a look, see what is causing this, or potentially causing the low mood. Seeing if there's anything you can do about it. So for me, when the sun is out, I'm getting outside walking in the sunshine so I can get some of that lovely vitamin D, and, just checking in with yourself, and then trying where you can to lighten the load. So for me, I haven't really done much this week in terms of work, and I have the luxury of doing that because I work for myself. But also the downside is that deadlines that I'd put in place for myself have been missed and need moving. This podcast, I normally will batch my solo podcast episodes so that I do sort of 6 at a time, and that covers me for the next 12 weeks. Well, since this new year, because I went straight into a launch at the beginning of the year, I hadn't had chance to do that. So I've kind of been doing them ad hoc, and I completely forgot to put my podcast on my diary this week. I didn't put it into my calendar, and I've said before now, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done. And it was only sort of this morning that I realized, because normally I would save these things as like Friday. I do kind of a wrap up, any loose ends, anything that has to get done before Monday, I will do on a Friday. It's kind of what I reserve Friday for. And I was like, I haven't got Friday. I'm doing my coaching tomorrow. I'm not going to be here. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I had to move something that I had in for this afternoon so that I can record these episodes. And I don't like that. I don't feel like feeling rushed, and I don't like feeling like I've got to move things around all the time. And I had a challenge that I was on this week that I watched the first day and just didn't have time to watch any of the others. I'm going to try and catch up. I don't know when, maybe at the weekend, because obviously I'm out all day tomorrow. I've got a client call this evening. And yeah, I'll need to get to bed so I can get up really early tomorrow. I missed a networking event this week that I had booked because it was a morning networking event, and I don't do mornings as a general rule for anything, but this networking group I really wanted to sort of get involved with, and I completely missed it because I didn't check with my diary before I shut down for the night before, and it was in the morning, and of course I didn't get up until after the event had finished. And like I say, I've just really been struggling with my mornings this week. So all that to say that I have had a really low week. I've kind of examined where it's coming from. I think that it is likely a combination of the weather, all of the peopling that's going on this week, exciting things happening in business, and that being a shift that, is sometimes just a little bit hard to take, because when you're used to things being one way, even if it's exciting, it's good and it's growth, it can be uncomfortable. So possibly, mindset blocks around that in there, fear of success and things like that coming into play there, and it can be really difficult. So I want you to know that if you are feeling this way, especially at this time of year, if you have a seasonal affective disorder like I do, then it's something to just note. Be kind to yourself. I am keeping next week very low. I've got my Monday photography session and I'm taking the rest of the day off to have a date day with my other half, which we haven't done in forever. So we're going to just spend the rest of the day together. And then I'm keeping the rest of the week very, very light, just to try and add in some more self-care without feeling guilty about it. I think that's one of the things that we really struggle with when we take down time or feel the need to take down time, is that there is guilt attached to it. So I am deliberately not putting any pressure on myself to get things done or out or finished in a certain time frame. Next week I've got a few things that obviously need to be done, like editing my podcast episode, getting my guest episodes ready, things like that. But I am not going to be adding anything into my diary for next week, to try and just rebalance and give myself a little bit more grace. So I want to offer that to you this week, that if you are feeling low, or if you know somebody who's been feeling low, maybe send them this episode so they know that they're not alone in this, and maybe it'll prompt some thoughts for them. And journaling can be really powerful around this as well. So that is it for this mini Mindset Monday. I know it wasn't necessarily much of a boost for you guys, but I'm very much somebody who doesn't believe in being happy for the sake of being happy. I'm not somebody who is going to come on here and say, hey guys, it's been a great week, blah, 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 when it hasn't been, because that's not authentic. It's not real. And it gives people a false impression of what entrepreneurship is really like. And sometimes, especially if you struggle with your mental health, like I do, some weeks aren't great. And this hasn't been a great week for me. So I want you to have a fantastic week. If you are listening to this thinking that is me, then please take some of the steps that I have mentioned today. Look at what you can do to ease your workload this week. Maybe give yourself a little bit more grace and self-care. And just look after yourselves, guys. Spring is round the corner. The sunshine is coming. It always does. It always comes around again. And that's kind of a metaphor for life, isn't it? It's a cycle. You go through these peaks and valleys. You go through the highs and the lows, but the highs are always coming. You've just got to get over that low. So that is it for this mini Mindset Monday. Join me on Thursday when I'm going to be talking about breaking up with Instagram. Yes, you heard it here first. Join me on Thursday for that one. Take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. If you're looking to build a deeper connection with your audience this year and you're a passionate business owner with a message to share, then I would love to help you do that via podcasting. If you're interested in starting a podcast this year, head over to donnaeade.com/apply to register your interest today. Don't forget to hit subscribe where you listen and rate and review the podcast if you've enjoyed it. You can also share this episode with a friend. It is a great way to help the podcast out to get to more listeners just like you.